Hello, creative, crafty little lovely. If you're a new subscriber, returning subscriber, I am so delighted that you are here. I wanted to come on here real quick and share some of the things that I do. So I have these right here that are mailers that came in, and these are really great for using as a scrap paper. Like, see, this right here is really good. So all you need is like a punch, and then you can use that, and it is green on both sides. You can use this strip as well, and on here you can use this one. Well, almost. But I also want to show you something. Okay, so I like to use up all of my paper, and this was leftover, and I could probably still use it more because I have this punch right here, and this is like one of my go-to punches. And this little flower, as you can see, is really small. I mean, we're talking, it is probably half an inch all the way around. So really tiny. And so I like to use up as much as I can out of my scrap paper like this. So see, now I have two. And so I usually, start doing a lot of paper punching. This is good busy work in front of your TV. And here I have a bunch of little punches that I like to use. But so because I like to use everything, one of the things that I do is I come in here with these scissors and I start cutting these up. And I start gathering them on here. And, just here, like this one right here, I have a tendency to I'll do this and then I'll come in here. And so it creates tiny little pieces like confetti, but I want to show you. So, and these pieces, you can leave. And so I just come in here and just cut them up the best that I can into little tiny pieces. And if you don't have these scissors, you could just use, some regular small scissors. It doesn't have, nothing has to be fancy, but this is a good way, like I said, to use up all of your paper because we spend a lot of money on our paper. So why not use it all, right? So once I am done, I usually go ahead and I put them into this jar. And as you can see, I have quite a bit of little pieces in there. And so let me go ahead and just put these in here. And so this is what I do with some of my scraps. Like I said, I start collecting them in here, and they're very tiny little pieces. Here is a really good example of a mailing. Now this one is really busy and I don't think I can use this for any punching, but that's okay. So one of the things that I do is like on here, what I will do is I will cut out the stamp because we can always use that, right? So I cut it out, and I actually have this bag right here that is full of stamps. So, and they have all been canceled. So if you have sent something to me, chances are is that your stamp is in here. And it's really neat to just go and see all of these and, look at the stamps, and also when they were canceled. And also the post office often changes these, so that's really cool. But also, so if you do have envelopes, you can also use envelopes for cutting them up and putting them in here. And so let me go ahead and put that in there. But see this, since this is a really busy postcard, this would be really good if you want to put something on top of it or use them in the middle, like if doing an ATC card and you're using regular scrapbook paper. So, but I'm just gonna cut it up and throw it into my container right here. So here is all of the mailers, and I went ahead and I cut them up. And like I said, some pieces are, longer than others, and that's okay. If you really want to get to it and cut them all even, that's up to you. Now you can also use a paper shredder, but I have not found a paper shredder that cuts paper this small. If there is a paper shredder out there that that cuts really small and is affordable, like under $50, let me know, and that would save a lot of time. But like I said, I haven't found one that cuts really small like this. I do have two paper shredders, and one of them cuts in strips, like a crisscross strips, and then the other one does cut in like smaller pieces. I think it's probably about maybe a half an inch square. So, but I really like this really finer ones. So now that I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and just add it to here. Okay, so now that I have cut all of these, I am going to go ahead, and this right here, it happens to be some packing paper, and I cut it to like maybe about 13 inches, but as you can see, it's not really squared. And then the length is what it came with. And then right here, I have some homemade Mod Podge. But if you want, you can probably use glue too. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and mix this up because I haven't mixed it up in a while. And I am just going to put it all over this paper. And as you can see, it is very, very watery. So here it is. It's coated very good, and I'm going to call this glitter paper because that kind of was what it reminds me, and this technique is kind of going to be like that. So I'm just going to put it all around here, all over, and we are going to create our own unique paper. So making sure it gets into all the pieces right everywhere. And this is a great way to see all of the colors that you have used. And I'm just going to spread this out. And just spreading this out. By the way, this sheet right here happens to be like a Teflon sheet. And I have a couple of those, and I love them because it will not stick to, the paper will not stick to the Teflon. So just patting it right here and making sure that every little bit is covered up. Like I said, kind of like glue paper. So just putting it on there. And then I'm going to let this dry. I have a couple of errands I need to run. So I'm just going to let this dry, and then I'll come back once I run my errands, and we can take a good look at this. And we might have to apply some glue to a couple of other places. But like I said, I'm just trying to glue this all as much as I can. Pat it down. And we're going to go ahead and we're just going to pat it more down and making sure you have all of the edges here. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry, and I will be back shortly after. Like I said, I have to run some errands, and then I will be back. And this is a good, also probably one of those projects that you could probably do right before you go to sleep and let it dry overnight. And I'm going to close this up, and I'm going to also wash this. So see you back in a bit. So I am back. It's been about 3.5 hours. And so let's see if this is already dried. Oh, by the way, if you're not happy with the color, you can always get some like cheap spray paint, and or you can make your own, just put some acrylic paint into a spray bottle with some water, and you can spray this, and then that way it would give it a different look, or if it's too much white paper. So yep. Looks like it probably needs a little bit more, but I did want to take all of this off. That way I could see if there's any blank pages. Wow, so there's still a little bit of, that's quite a lot of pieces of paper. So just shaking it off right here. You can see it's still a little wet. So this is what it looks like, and I don't care that if some of the brown does come through. I'm okay with that. What you could, if you wanted to seal this, you could go and do another a layer of Mod Podge on top of it. And the Mod Podge, by the way, is 1-to-1, so it's water and glue. So the same amount that you put in water, you also put the same amount of glue. So yeah, this is ready to go. And like I said, oh, another way that you can also seal it is if you have some of that wide packaging tape. That would also be another great way. But so yeah, so I think what I'm probably going to do is I am going to seal it with this, and then it'll be ready to go. So I just wanted to show you that if there is some paper that does stick to, oops, it kind of stuck to the glass mat, but that's okay. There we go. So if you do have some paper that does stick to like your Teflon sheet, all you need is your little scraper right here, the one that creases your paper. I'm not quite sure what they're called. So, but yeah, you just, push them like this, and then I'm gonna put this back in the jar here, and then we'll get ready to seal that piece of paper. Okay, so let's go ahead and seal this up. I got my Mod Podge here and my brush. I'm just loading it up right here, and we are just gonna put a coat of this just to make sure it all kind of, and I'm being really generous because we want it to all stick to that. I'm just going around to make sure that I have caught all of the corners right here. Make sure that they're very well sealed. And so now we wait again, and I would probably wait a little bit longer. I think this one I might just leave here and let it dry overnight. That way, oops, needs a little bit more down here. Use some of trying to get some of these little pieces out of the glue, the Mod Podge glue. There we go. Try and work them in. And if you don't have the patience to do this, I had found a bag of confetti over at Walmart, and I think this would probably be really good to use. But I just wanted to use some scrap paper and just give it a new life. And so this is definitely a scrap buster. So maybe it's taking it to a whole other level, but regardless, and it will have some really cool texture as well. Okay, so now I have let this dry actually overnight, and this is sticking a little bit to the glass, and like I said, this is right here is the Teflon, so I'm just unsticking it from the glass mat that I have underneath. And now let's unstick it from the paper. And as you can see, it did come out pretty flat. So we're just going to unstick it. And the way that you do it, you'll just have to work with it. Be patient and just work with it. And I'm just getting the edges. And as you can see, it's coming off fairly easy. And oops, let's see what happened back here. It might not be all dried. No, it just feels like it might still be wet. Yep. Let's see. So here's what the back looks like, and it looks like it's still wet on some couple of parts. So I am probably just going to leave it like this, and but it is done once it's dried. I mean, look at this, and you have really great texture. You can probably just use some acrylic paints or some watercolors and put some more color on here if you don't like all this white. And now you have a brand new sheet of paper to use with texture and very beautiful colors, or you can customize it to the colors that you want. I really enjoyed the way this turned out, and it is just absolutely so neat. And you could see all of your leftover projects on here. It has so much texture. And if you don't want to do something this big, you can always do small ones like this. But I feel like this is the ultimate paper scrap buster, because this really, it just eliminates a lot of the no waste. You know, you don't have to waste any of your paper. You do just have to have some patience and time as you're cutting all of the little pieces. But anyway, so I hope you give this a try. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you find happy little moments throughout your day. Bye.